The record defence budget will go towards new surveillance aircraft and F-35 stealth fighters, together with amphibious vehicles and drones. Tokyo's military investment is intended to counter the changing security threats of the region, says Alessio Patalano of the Department of War Studies at King's College London.
Both in terms of North Korean missile and nuclear sort of brinkmanship, as well as Chinese moves, there is a growing sense of tension in East Asia. For Japan, that means primarily guaranteeing a better conventional defense potential for the offshore islands of the southwestern part of the archipelago.
Japan and China dispute the ownership of islands in the East China Sea, known as Senkaku in Japanese and Diaoyu in Chinese. The islands are controlled by Tokyo, but Chinese military vessels and aircraft have repeatedly entered the area. The dispute is about more than it appears on a map, says Jonathan Fenby, China analyst and former editor of the South China Morning Post.
This is in a sense ridiculous to have this argument over a few uninhabited scraps of island off the Japanese coast, but it stands for a much bigger rivalry in East Asia, where China wants to assert itself, it wants its regional position to be recognised.
Japan's defence spending, part of an $814 billion total annual budget, is part of Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's push to build a more active military. After his re-election last month, Mr. Abe said he had a mandate to strengthen Japan's defence forces.
I will keep engaging in global diplomacy, defending national interests and protecting the lives of our citizens, and make sure they live a happy life.
Prime Minister Abe has vowed to change Japan's pacifist constitution to normalise the armed forces. China has warned Prime Minister Abe to tread carefully and accuses Japan of failing to atone for past military crimes. China held a day of remembrance for the first time in December to honour the victims of the Japanese military rampage in Nanking in 1937. Beijing says 300,000 people were killed. The long-running rivalry is likely to continue, says Fenby.
We always assume that when there's a dispute, both sides want a solution. But I think this is one of those disputes where neither side actually wants a solution, because it serves domestic nationalist positioning, so long as it doesn't get out of hand.
The United States has made clear its support for Japan's territorial integrity. Japan's increased defence spending does not reduce the importance of the US-Japan alliance, says Patalano.
Actually, it's quite the opposite. It's to make it more operationally viable, to increase the ability and the interoperability with the US military at one level, but also to allow Japan to be a political partner that is not just a junior member of this relationship.
Patalano says an enhanced defence relationship with Japan is at the heart of the United States' so-called strategic pivot to Asia, and the increased spending will likely be welcomed in Washington. Henry Ridgwell for VOA News, London.